I'm Mark Schneider, you're watching Schneider Classics, and today we gotta do some work on the old 67 Custom. Bobby! Bobby! You good old cat? How about you go scare that annoying crow away? Could you do that for me, Bobby? Be a good apprentice? Go scare the cat, go scare the crows away? You're annoying. Hey, Maximus. You just relaxing? I gotta get to work. Alright, so what I gotta do is I gotta clear some stuff on top and I gotta do a little bit of welding. When we were playing with the wiring and I was figuring out the clearance lights and why some of them weren't working, all of them work once they have a good ground, but it's a little bit rotted underneath. So right now, let's use my tire as a step. Stand on the hood here. Yeah, that's not reliable. You can see there, she's a little rotted through. So we're going to take the old, not that one, this one. I got to take all the stuff off, unscrew it, take the bulb out as best I can, tape the wire in there, hopefully have a good response, and drill it out. Then I have some new metal that's going to go there because we want them to look like that. I just realized I don't have white paint. That's fine. So this one's got to be done, this one's got to be done, that one's good, that's why that's like this. This is my reference, so this one's staying open. So we got to take this off. Now the second thing, the good thing is, like with some of these screws, like you can see right there, that has to be welded in there for this screw. So once I'm able to get it in position, I'll draw a little paint, I'll put a little paint on this and then push it down, and that should mark it. And then I'll go through, drill the hole, and then I'll line this up underneath for the threads and just tack it on around. So that'll be fine, but they rotted and came with it on like all of them. So I have that. The only one I don't have here is that one because it's not rotted. So I'm gonna see what I'm gonna have to do there. But we're just gonna patch up some of this metal, get her going. I'm probably just gonna coat her a little bit. So I gotta cut this out first, then grind the edge so I can weld a new piece in, do a little tack welding. So the new piece, before I weld it in though, I gotta make sure I drill a hole in it, then kind of make sure it's lined up with the two screw markers. Make sure it's lined up, put the paint on it so that I can transfer, do a paint transfer, and make sure the holes are drilled, because I have to make sure the center hole and the two side holes are drilled out before I go in and weld it in. Just a little bit of work, but it'll look good. Get this done so the roof's all done. As you can see, like this is just out from today because I uncovered it today. I had a tarp sitting over it. I do got to clean up this drip rail and reseal it. Needs some new sealant. Right there it's sealed when I did some repair, but I got to go through and reseal it. But we'll get that done. So my plan is to knock this out today. If I knock this out today, depending on how far we get today, I'll see about getting the last two cab bolts in from the back, because the previous owner, the farmer, just torched the thing, so I have half the screws in there. So I got to go in there and drill them out, and depending on how that goes is they depend on many things. If I can get the nut, if I can get the bolt to screw, like drill out the bolt and it'll come out, oh, we'll be golden. But if I can't, and I have to drill all the way through and drill through and ruin the threads on the nuts as well, I'm just gonna have to drill all the way to the floor as well and put a nut on it from the top and cap it. It's fine. I have big enough bolts for that. I made sure, because I've got aircraft bolts to hold this damn cabin that are super long, and I gotta trim short when I tighten them all down anyways. But it's just an extra step that has to be done. That's annoying. Once that's done, then we can start moving on to the fenders and the front clip and getting all that bolted in, because I want to get that bolted in before we move on to the next step. And I can't let you guys know that step yet until we get there, because I kind of want to keep it with the flow. If you guys check out the Instagram, everyone on following the Instagram gets notifications first. They get all the news, they get all the information. They know what's going on. It's happening. Because I keep the Instagram up to date constantly. The videos here, you're pretty much a 2-week buffer. Or if you're on the YouTube channel and you don't have Instagram, keep in touch with the live streams that we are now maybe doing every Monday, because the live streams will keep you up to date on what's going on and some sneak bit information that is coming to the channel. So I'm gonna get into this. So I'm just gonna put it on a time lapse of me cutting these out. So I showed you the rest before. These ones didn't want to come out nicely. As you can see, they're all twisted because once it got thin enough, the blade, which is catching, it doesn't want to cut properly. So I have to go in there with some clippies. Get in there. This is the perfect one, as you can tell. So rusted. Because if I can take this off, which I should. There's a comparison to what it's supposed to look like versus what it did look like. So now I'm gonna go to my good metal cutout. As you can tell, I took the wire brush in there. I had to be very careful with the wiring and like push it to the side and work on a little. Took the wire brush in there, cleaned up a little bit of rust off camera, and then painted her up. And I got all the way in there because only be in here once. Obviously I'm not all the way down here. I don't know what's down there, and I don't know what's down there. She was actually really clean, to be very honest. This section didn't really have anything. This section had a bit of rust from what was falling in there, so the rust that was already in there was creating a pile. So I took the vacuum, cleaned it out, put some primer down, and then spray painter after the wire wheel. And that's gonna be good. The next person that's gonna be in there is probably gonna see a big circle because I just went around and I sprayed as much as I can. It's not pretty because, well, it's in something. Like, the only way to properly do this is to take off the whole top skin and get it done. But not gonna do that. Just gonna do repair the inner door. Like, I've looked inside the mirrors and stuff. There was no mouse nest in here. So that's actually really good, because a really bad spot on these trucks is above the windowsills and stuff, because what happens is mice get into the truck and it's a tight space. So they'll crawl up the A-pillar along the wires and they'll just drag stuff in there, and then you have a problem because, well, the mouse nest is there, so moisture gets trapped in there and it rests out. This truck actually is very favorable towards me that, like, to be fairly honest, if I didn't take off the lights, these probably would have never been noticed or been fine. The reason they broke and stuff off is because I tried to get them off, obviously, to check the lights, because these two lights were not flashing. So when I ripped these two off and I saw they weren't working, and that was why, because rust built up, I was like, okay, I gotta take them all off. And I'm fortunate enough that two are fine. But now I gotta cut my piece, place it in here. I only have to take the file on these, clean up these connections. As you can tell, the bulbs are out just because I don't want to break them. I should undo all these. I may probably undo this one again, and even though it does work, and clean up the insides of these connections so these grounds have a good connection there, because I want them to work, obviously. So now I got to go to my good sheet of metal. Now I can actually put in my center pilot bit. The reason I didn't have it in is I didn't want to punch through, so this was actually, I had to go slow and steady. I didn't want to punch through, but I can put my pilot bit in now, get that done, cut a big hole, and then go back afterwards and cut a little hole. I don't know if I should cut the little hole first and then the big hole, or the big hole and then the little hole. I think I may try one of each, and whatever one I like will be the last one, obviously. But, or unless I try whatever first way I do it the first way, if it works really well, then I'll just stick with that. But yeah, I'm standing on the cowl, don't mind me. That's just resting on the rad support, the back here, and the motor. I don't really care about the motor. The motor's junk, but I do care about the hood, sorta. As you can tell, the previous owner had like something strapped on it, so it's just got that big fade mark. I don't really care to change that, because like even all this, I am gonna go through and spray all this out and clean out the ridge so I can reapply some new seam sealer. But for the rest of it, it'll slowly fall off or it'll stay. I kind of like, these trucks do look really good cleaned up, but this to me is like some farmer's build. So I'm gonna even leave the rest on the mirrors. Like, I don't want to touch it. And this is like some kid's first project, which this was the first truck I built when this was the first truck I bought back in 2017. And I'll leave a link to a video of me going to buy the truck. We drove 4 hours there. It took us 4 hours to load it up, and then we drove 4 hours back, I think. No, we drove 8 hours or 9 hours there. It took us 4 hours to load it, and then we drove back slower than we got there. So maybe it was 7 hours there and 9 hours back and 4 hours to load. I don't fully recall. Oh, that's the pilot bit. I don't fully recall, but that's the original cab over there. That is a 1967 small window automatic cab. Now, I wanted this to go with manual, and I wanted to go with other things. So like, I remember, I think it was like 2 years later, I did buy this cab. And so like, I spent the whole first year stripping out that cab, getting it ready to do all the metal work on it, and then doing the metal work on it slowly and learning. That was the cab I learned on, and learned how to weld on and everything. And then I bought the cab, and it's moved locations. It moved to my old buddy's shop, it moved to here, it moved back there to like in there. It was in there. Like, before I built this shelter, it was in between all the framing for this. Then I pulled it out, and then it sat here for a year. Like, this truck I've had since 2017. It was the very first project vehicle I bought when I was 17 years old, like a couple days before I turned 18. Because I've always wanted to do a truck, and I was like, well, whatever, I'll go buy one. Then it kind of sat. It just, I've worked on it here and there. There's work done. Like I said, that cab actually is like 95% done. Which sucks, because then I went, I may change the whole project, take it off, put a 67 manual 4-speed Maurice transmission in this thing, put a V8 in it, put a 72 5-ton cab and modified and did all the work to it. They had it in here, And now the project's changing again. Like we're putting, because this motor's blown up again now, which is unfortunate. Like I was running it, it was running good, and then it decided not to. But that's what happens when you buy a junkyard motor. I kind of feel like garbage because I spent like $400 or $500 on it from a guy just for it to crap out on me. Like only like 20 hours of run time on it, crap out. So that pissed me off, but now we got a new motor. We got a new, reliable, good motor that I don't even have to play with. I don't even have to touch. I don't have to take the heads off or anything or change the carb. It is literally going to be pull this motor out and put that motor in with a new flywheel and such, like some little new goodie bit, which makes me happy because then I don't have to screw with anything. I got a good motor. It's from a long-term childhood friend. So if it's not good, well, at least I can give him shit. But it's an exciting process to come. It's exciting. It's exciting. You guys really like the motor going in it. Like we got new glass in this. This is all done. I can't remember it. I think it's Jim's Auto Glass. Yeah, Jim's Auto Glass. A guy that is very mobile. He's a great guy. Came and did the front windshield, and then I had the tinted rear glass from when I bought the original truck, and so we got that put in there. That's, yeah, Jim's Auto Glass. He's a mobile guy. He'll come to you and do it. He came here and did it. Really awesome guy, really good pricing, and reliable as hell. So he was good. Then I got like, what was it? Who did Dunmar Transmission? Built the custom drive shaft for this. And then everything else I've done. The motors were bought off the Hyslop brothers. I can't really blame him because I only did spend $400 for a motor to crap out on me, but he did say it was running, and it was running. He never ripped over the internal, so it's like, it's harsh because like the guy was selling a fairly cheap motor. It's a little bit frustrating. I can't blame him because no, shit hits the barrel. I've learned the only people I'll buy motors off of from now on are good friends, because we bought the green truck last year, and I did have a video of me taking it all apart and taking the cab off, but I lost all that footage. I'm mad at myself for that because it was good video. It was good footage. But that truck came with a motor that was supposed to run. The internals were blown up. It had a rocker arm that got thrown, and then the transmission's missing. Its main gearing in the transmission is missing a big chunk from it because it's only a car motor. So someone swapped the motor out at some time, put a car motor in it, and the guy who sold it to me, he's like, I had it running before, and well, it obviously wasn't. Just to have like the 305 I bought this truck into originally ran, but then it sat here for 3 years. And then what happened is moisture got trapped in that closed manifold. I hate that. I hate that closed manifold that comes with these trucks, because moisture gets trapped in it, and then it killed that cylinder. It only killed the cylinder that was open to the exhaust, and it killed it and rotted away from it sitting here for 3 years. And this is why that truck, every 4 months, I run and start that truck for a good hour. Just so the oil gets all lubricated in it and it runs, and make sure it runs and it has a constant run state. I don't let stuff sit here anymore and not run. Like the quads get used, the sleds get used, everything gets used and run probably an average of 5 times a year at bare minimum. So I learned my lesson there. So now I'm gonna go and cut the new pieces. I'm gonna have to shape this metal a little bit, but I'm gonna cut the new pieces to resemble this. As you can see, this is like the center hole, and then I'll have to place the light on it, because the light will pretty much fully cover this. Place it on, grind it down. I don't think I have white paint, so I'll get it all done today and make sure it's covered in primer, but I'm probably gonna have to go out and buy some white paint and paint them another day. But I'll make sure it's covered in primer, and I'll probably just orange paint the bottom like I did the inside, because it was originally red or orange. It's called GM orange. No, sorry, it's not called GM orange. It's called Chevrolet orange. I don't even know if this is, but this is the closest color I could find, like just at my local Ukrainian tire. This stuff is just engine enamel. So actually, it's funny enough, this paint will hold up the higher temperatures and will hold up a little bit better underneath anyways than just normal paint, as well as it's a stage 1 paint, so it doesn't even really need the primer. but it doesn't need any clear coat on it, which is nice. Even though I do know when I did the body work on the rockers and stuff, I did clear coat it. Now I'm gonna stop talking about stories and babbling on, and we'll get this done. Got our center punch here. Roughly right there. So I got the pieces prepped, but I had to wrap it up for the night, so we're going to continue off tomorrow with drilling the pieces in and then hopefully welding them in tomorrow and then cleaning it up, but getting them done.